Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Secrets in the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie D'Aoust, and cycling coach. So before we get started, I have some quick announcements. I have two, actually, and they are related to winter or cycling training skills. Now, August is about the time where a lot of us start thinking about, what am I going to do to, improve what I'm already doing now? So you think about, how am I doing on the road? What kind of skills would I love to improve, and how am I going to get those skills? And that's where I have something so amazing for you. It doesn't matter where you're sitting because we're in like 35 different countries. Amazing. So this can impact all of you if it interests you or piques your interest. So the first thing is I have a cycling skills online 4-week workshop for women. And this is where we're going to, it's only for September and October. Each week we focus on a different skill. So first we really work on what is a smooth pedal stroke and how to get more efficient. I'm going to share with you the skills and tips and my secrets about that. And then we're going to move on to hills and then speed. And then we finish it up with nutrition. We also talk about our weight training program, which is so important for strength training to become better. With this one, it's super fun because every week we do the workshop and then I give you homework and then we have a Q&A. So you basically have me as a coach for the whole month. And that is cyclingskillspro.com. You can register now, secure your spot September or October. Then the next one is a much longer, more training, more geared towards working towards goals and really drilling in the skills that we go through in the 4-week program. Pedal stroke, then we get into the drills and it's periodized. I also help you with organizing yourself to be scheduled in your training so that you don't overdo it and you become very intentional. I just love this because a lot of people just get on the online programs and they just go for broke all the time. You have to plan it. It's an 80-20 rule, 80% endurance, 20% intensity. And if you're not getting that, you're just going to basically overtrain yourself and overdo it. So the 16-week program is dedicated to that and so much more. So this starts in November to March. So it's truly through the winter. Weight training, online program, maybe some racing, group riding. All of that is going to be part. You just join us and we'll take care of your winter training. Now go to 16weekroadcycling.ca and secure your spot. Registration is not open right now, but those who are on the VIP will get a chance to secure a spot at an early bird price. So don't wait, get on the list. All right, take care and have an amazing day. And don't forget to ride your bike. Thank you again, everyone, for coming out for another amazing episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie D'Aoust. And we have this amazing young lady, Deveny, right?
Yeah.
I'm always like, I have to correct myself. I'm like, did I say right? Collier. And she used to be on the pro circuit. She's living in Edmonton right now. And she's also working with the Nextgen program in Milton with Jenny True. So it's super exciting to bring her here. I can't wait. She's got a really amazing and good story about mental health, or maybe it's not, but we're going to see. She's going to be sharing with us her experience as a pro cyclist and where it took her and what she's doing now with future cyclists. Welcome, Deveny. Thank you to the podcast.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about everything.
Let's talk about everything. All right. So I always love to just ask the question, like, how did you get into cycling? How did it happen for you?
I feel like a lot with a lot of people, at least in Canada, it's not like a super exciting story. I used to do soccer I think I did it for like 7 years or something until I was 15. And it just like wasn't really going the way I wanted it to, because I liked being an athlete. I liked doing sports, and I was like, I want to take this to the next level. And soccer wasn't really working out. So So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop soccer, but I didn't have a plan of what other sport I was gonna do. So I kind of like sat on it for a little while because I always had sport in my life. I felt like I needed something. And my dad suggested cycling. And honestly, his reasoning was that he liked cycling and he's like, you have really strong legs, you should do it. So I was like, well, that's good enough as anything else for me. Like, let me look into it. And I found the Juventus Cycling Club in Edmonton, and I signed up for their LAMP program, which is like their development program. I was like the oldest you could be to be in the program, so I was just like with like 12-year-olds, and I was like, it's awkward, but
Like,
that's
I'm
where I
ready.
got my start, and it like snowballed from there.
Is that where they just discovered you? You're like, because there's quite a few soccer players who have gone to the track. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's just because there is like a lot of people who play soccer, or like if it's just, I don't know, they've played by Juventus clubhouse or something and they've seen it. I don't know, something like that.
I think
But
it's the leg strength myself.
yeah, I mean that may be it. You do have pretty people in soccer do get pretty strong legs.
Yeah, I never thought, but like the more I talk to girls, and it's mostly girls that go from soccer to like track,
Yeah,
that that's where they were, and the power from, I guess, running and kicking, and like everything just sort of transfers over to being super strong engine
right.
for.
Yeah.
So in Edmonton, were you at the track? Is that where you started the
Mhm.
club?
Yeah, so like Juventus clubhouse is like attached to their like cement velodrome.
Oh, okay.
So like in the program, you do like a few weeks on the road, and then you do mountain bike, and then you do track. So when we like got to the track time, I was just like, hey, I'm really good at this. And it's like weird. Like velodromes are weird. Like this is fun and just like new. So I was just kind of like hooked on that one because I was like really good at it right away.
See,
Yeah.
really good at it, right? They're like,
Yeah.
you over here, you're no
Yeah.
longer going to be with the 12-year-olds.
Yeah. You're graduating.
We're going to like streamline you straight to the national team. Here you go.
Okay, well, not quite like that, but things did move pretty quick.
Okay, well, let's hear about that. So you were what? You were 16 at that
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
So then you got on the track, and then yeah. So how did it move along, and then how did you find yourself in Ottawa? Or were you in
Um,
Ottawa when you're discovered by Jenny, or was she there?
yeah, well,
Where is that woman? She's all over the place.
I feel like I'd like known about Jenny for like a long time before I actually started working with her. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I was just like riding, started taking it seriously really quickly, like joined like the junior program they had at Juventus. And when I was 18, I did well enough at the junior track nationals and the junior road nationals to go to worlds for both of those that year. Um, so, and that's kind of how it started because my coach, or the Nextgen coach at the time, um, just like decided that my performances were like good enough at junior worlds that he would add me to the Nextgen team when I was done with my junior career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did your junior career, did that like, that was in Edmonton?
That's where I trained, but like our races we had, where were they? Like the track nationals were in Milton, and then
Right. Okay. So you were around for Milton, because Milton was built 5 years ago.
yeah, the first time I raced on Milton, it was before they had their first major like World Cups there.
Right.
So it was like when it was like the dust was still settling.
The Pan Am's had just finished.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So was that your intro or your start into road racing or track? Like,
Yeah, I kind of always did both, like road. I really didn't expect to go to Road Worlds that year as a junior,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in Doha that year, which is like just flat, like it's desert. So so they're like, let's just send the track team to to the road because like they can ride flat stuff. Like
Oh, I
so
suppose
yeah.
like if you're gonna want to race,
Mhm.
it's like flat and hot and windy.
Yeah, totally. So I met Jenny like about a year when I was 19, because I didn't have a road team my first year out of junior. I just didn't like look into it in time, and no one like selected me because I wasn't really that good. so
Oh,
so like yeah, I met her like a year after, like probably at like BC Super Week. I was like racing alone, and but she would be like standing on the hill and be like, "Come on, Devaney, go faster."
go back. I can see her like, come on.
Yeah. I'm
Like,
like, I'm trying my best. Yeah. So that's kind of how I started road and track. Is like I've always done both. Road has always kind of been like secondary just because not I don't compete at it in the same level. I'm just not good enough
oh,
to
come
do the
on.
road
So
racing
say
at
you're
that level. But yeah.
so then how did you start working with Jenny and how then and
Mm,
like we were talking about, your whole history
yeah.
in the road
Hmm.
as like in your road cycling career. So let's talk about that because obviously you transitioned from track to road.
No, no,
Well,
I do. I do track mainly.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
So then you go to Europe? Is that like, were you on an international team
For what?
for track? No, for road.
No, I'm with the national team for track.
Oh, I see, I
Yeah,
see.
just like the
Okay.
Nextgen national team. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk like you're talking about before we started about the mental health game
Yeah.
and so let's just take you back to when you were in the team because
Mhm.
I've when we were talking about that, I can totally relate. I've had kind of not so mm, I don't know what the word is for it, but such great experiences with um within like a couple different teams I was on. It wasn't for cycling or anything, it was ultimate frisbee, but at a high level.
Yeah.
And yeah, so let's talk about your experience. Like just take us through your career.
Yeah. So when juniors was over, I got selected to the next gen team on the track, which at the time was run by Cam Jennings. He was like an Australian coach that they'd hired, and I actually knew him from Edmonton, so he already knew me when he added me to the team, and he was a really good coach. He like really definitely took a chance on me, and like a lot of other athletes, he gave opportunities to that like I don't think would really be given to athletes these days.
Hmm.
Um, so that was really great. But the team at the time um, didn't have the best chemistry, and I think a lot of that was informed by just like not by people feeling a bit stifled. I think the next gen team at that time, it was like super early in the next gen program, and there we didn't do any races, we only trained, we had like weird schedules that made us like away from home all the time but didn't really build to anything. um and yeah, and then just like kind of like our program didn't have much money, like it was just always like we were kind of an afterthought. um and not that people, there was definitely people who were working hard for us and that sort of thing, but I think that those are kind of what informed the like attitude in the team. And it wasn't supportive, it wasn't like inspiring, it wasn't like the whole point of a next gen team is to like help lift people up to the next level and help develop athletes, but also like people, because everyone in the team's pretty young,
Right.
or just like at least young in their careers in cycling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it wasn't the greatest. And that was hard because I thought, oh, this is just how it is. Like, this is just what it's like to be an athlete and to be a cyclist, is like you just get pooed on all the time and you never get any chances to do anything. Like, it's never good
Wow.
enough. Nothing's ever good enough.
Oh.
So that was kind of a rocky start, but Cam decided to move back to Australia. And so there was this whole summer where nobody on the Nextgen team actually had a coach. And
Wow.
so that was interesting. That was actually a really fun summer. I learned a lot. I had to do everything by myself. I had to be like, okay, it says on my schedule, because he made like a skeletal schedule before he left. Like, I'm supposed to go to this race, and then I'd like email Cycling Canada and I'd be like, Cam said that I'm supposed to do this race. Can you guys like help me figure out how to get there? And
Right.
like host housing by myself. And I didn't have a road team either. So like Super Week that year, Nationals that year.
Like, how do you get there? Like, you have,
Yeah, it
did
was
they help
all
you at
kind of
all,
like,
or did you have
sorry?
to pay for everything?
No, I didn't have to pay for too much of it because they were like, okay, yeah, we don't know what to do with you. And I think they weren't paying a coach at the time, so they had like a bit of money to like pay for race fees or something. So that was really nice, that part anyways. But it was definitely like a time of growing independence. But it was
Right.
very like, guys, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Nobody's here to tell me what to do. Like, I'm just kind of floating around, whatever.
Right.
So then Jenny is hired as the coach, and it's great. We're all excited to work with her, but she has some like big changes in mind, and it's a little bit scary because I'm used to like an environment being like the training environment being a certain way. And she like came in and she's like, okay, everybody has to like be positive and like say one good thing that happened in that like team pursuit trial or whatever. And I'd be like, well, it was horrible, it went terrible. And she'd be like, and like it took me a while to like figure out that like being competitive and being like caring a lot about what you're doing and like trying to reach the highest level you can doesn't have to be exclusive of being positive and being like uplifting of your teammates and having fun. Like they actually work better if you do them together.
Well, this
So
is actually a super positive experience. Like, you go from
yeah, that was
like
good.
here to up here.
That was good, but it kind of started to go downhill from then. And that's kind of when the mental spiral really started. And I've like done enough like digging into it now to like see that there was like a lot happening that I didn't really like know about at the time, like well, like mentally and physically within myself, that kind of also contributed to kind of like rock bottom, if you will.
Right.
But so essentially in 2018 I had a really really good season, and it was after like a few years of pretty hard training. I was like hitting all these really great numbers. Everything was going really well, and
Was that with Jenny?
yeah, that was with Jenny.
Okay.
And because of that, I got asked to do more and more races for the national team. So they started sending me all over the world, like by myself without a teammates or anything, and just like a coach, to do all these races because they needed points for the elite team. And they're like, well, Devaney can do it. She, it's like an opportunity. But it really started to wear me down, like the travel and the expectation and being away from home for so long. And there was a lot of like personal things happening too. Like I'd been so completely entrenched in cycling for years at this point that like I felt like I hadn't even started going to school. I never had a job. I didn't have any friends outside of cycling.
Right.
I like everything. I didn't have anything else to base my like worth on,
Right.
and or just like fill anything else of my time with. So as I got more and more tired and the expectations were rising, it
Can,
started creating like a very negative effect.
right. I just wanted to I wanted to continue on from there, but I just wanted to ask you, I don't even know if
Yeah,
this is probably like a break in the conversation, but they were sending you to all these races to accumulate points.
yeah.
Can you explain that? Because
Oh, okay.
I don't understand that. I would just like to understand the point system a little bit more.
Right.
And
It
because
yeah.
you're out there by yourself to race, and they're
Mhm.
expecting you to race at a higher level, like finish at the top, so
Mhm.
that they can get points for their elite team that you are not part of, right?
Yes. Yep, exactly.
Okay, talk about that.
So, yeah, the point
Yeah,
system,
I could see how I'm like, what
yeah.
the hell?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's definitely it's changed a little bit, um, but yeah, you just need certain thresholds of points to do certain races, and kind of like the higher caliber race, the more points you need, but also like position
Hmm.
in like ranking.
Right.
So, just some of the elite athletes were didn't want to do these like races that were in like China and Japan and stuff, because that's a lot of travel. That's like it was in the middle of the road calendar, so they like would send me and sometimes a few other people, but to do those, to collect points for the nation to have a higher ranking.
Right. And then what does that higher ranking give, say, Canada? I guess it would
It
be for
just gives you
Canada.
like starting positions. So this was in
Oh,
2018, so I think it was also part of the Olympic point collection, but like to like race the Omnium at Worlds, I think you need to be uh, top 16 nations in that event.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So and the points are collected. They used to be collected like by the top 3 riders. So just like
Mm,
the like points accumulated by the top 3 riders from that nation would be your nation ranking.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Top three in your race.
Well, no,
Or
like, top like so the top 3 Canadians who had the most points in the Omnium, their
mhm.
their collective number of points would be like their nation ranking in the Omnium.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think they simplified it because they changed how it works recently, but it's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Wow. Because
So,
I've heard the discussion around points before.
mhm,
I was just like, I understand like carded points, or like points to move you up in categories and things like
right.
that, but that's
Yeah,
a
but
way
the road is
higher
a bit
level.
different than the track, yeah,
Yeah.
for points.
Okay, so let's go back to your experience. Like you're out there and you're you've been away from your family, and you're
Yeah,
just kind of like, you know what, this isn't for me. Well, no, just go back. I didn't want to stop you there, but I had
yeah,
to ask about that.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I know it's a
'Cause-
bit confusing. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so I was doing all those races, kind of like mentally spiraling. But like during this whole time, like all those things happening in my personal life, all those things happening in my like cycling career, there was also like this very bizarre and extremely tragic like string of events that started actually back a couple year or a year earlier when Ellen Waters died. She was
Was she
hit
the
by a
one in
car.
BC and out east?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you
So
on the
she
team when she was
I
when
wasn't. I had met her the week before she died because we were at a camp together. And so
yeah.
that kind of was what started it, just because it was so tragic and it was so sudden. And like even though I hadn't known her that long, like anyone who's known her, she was like a very special person. She just was like a ray of light, and just like just like not the kind of person you meet very often. Very
Right.
just loving and cool and authentic. So that was very jarring, and that was kind of like the first. My first run in with like death so personally, but also
Mhm.
with it in cycling. And I would
Mhm.
only learn from then how common it was to be killed during doing training. Like, so many people get hit by a car, so many people crash and have like horrific injuries. Like, it happens
Mhm.
all the time,
Mhm.
and nobody really talks about it. So that was the first thing. And a few like 7 or 8 months later, um one of Jenny's kids, Camden, um, ha- they found out that he had a brain tumor, and he had to get it removed, and it was like very sudden. It was like very intense sort of thing, and it was the day before we left. We were supposed to go with Jenny to like the Nextgen team's first World Cup. So it was like just like the most, and I'd actually crashed just a few days earlier, so I was like in a bad way. And
Oh,
so that was like a very like heavy sort of experience. And then like it just get
right.
and then like the net I'm getting a little confused on the timeline, but like within short order,
Yeah.
um one of our sprinters at the time, Kate, she crashed while she was training in Calgary, and she had a really horrific head injury that
Mhm.
has now she now is okay, but she races in the para category now because it's just not quite safe enough, I believe,
Right.
to um, race in the elite category anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like another horrific thing, like just a random thing that happened to
Yeah.
like just another really good person that I knew, another person I was like pretty close to. Um, and then like this was the final event that really kind of like pushed me over the edge, because I was like, this can't just keep happening. This was in the fall before the winter that I really kind of just like broke. We were in Mexico, we were racing Pan Ams, and a teammate of mine who had actually known from Edmonton, I'd known him for years. He was an amazing aspiring sprinter, Stefan Ritter. He crashed while he was racing in the Kirin at Pan Am's, and he had a really horrible brain injury too. And since then, he doesn't race anymore. So all of that was happening like at the same time as like, just like normal growing up stuff being kind of stifled personally, and then like my cycling career getting more and more intense, um, but also like expectations rising, and that all sort of culminated that year, 2018 winter. So the very end of 2018, the beginning of 2019, we had a camp in Portugal. It was a training camp on the road, but we also were doing some track racing. Well, some of us, I was doing some track racing
I'm doing both.
locally as well. And it was a combined camp. So it was like the Nextgen team and the elite women were there, and the sprinters were there, and the elite men were there. So like just everyone was there at once. And um, it was just a lot of expectation. So the elite women's coach was there too, and he was kind of the one who was like coaching me on the race days. And he's no longer with the team, thankfully. But he was not the greatest guy, and he definitely doesn't know how to coach women, and he definitely doesn't know how to coach young riders to
Whoa.
like in a healthy way at all. Um, So, but I wanted to be on that team. I wanted to go to the Tokyo Olympics. And with how everything was trending that year, I was on the right path. Like a lot of my power numbers and stuff were like on par with all the girls on the team. So I was like, okay, I want to go to Tokyo. Like, I think this could happen for me. But he was kind of being a bit resistant to me, to letting me be on the elite team, the coach. So I like asked him, I was like, so like, what do you need from me to get on the team? Because like, I know I have the numbers, like I've seen them. And one of the things he said was, well, I just don't think you're very resilient. Like, I don't think you're consistent enough, and I don't think you're very resilient. And in my head, I'm like, this man doesn't know shit. Because like, like the stuff that I'd been dealing with up to that point, I'm like, I am the most resilient person
Really?
just to be here right now. Because I know a lot of other people went through all those same tragic events, but I also know that some of them just stuff it down way deep inside. And I'm not one of those people. I go through things as they happen and I have to process them. Because like shoving them down, they're just going to explode out later. Like it doesn't.
Right.
So I was like, I feel like I'm very resilient, but he's not the kind of person that you can be like, well, all these things happened to me and it was been really hard. Like he does not care. So the rest of my Nextgen team went home and I stayed because I was supposed to go to another race in Switzerland afterwards.
Wow.
And I was out on a recovery ride and I slipped on the road and I crashed. And it was a pretty bad crash. I didn't break anything, but I got like insane whiplash and like bark was under all my skin on my hands and my legs and my abdomen.
Wow.
And so it was pretty bad. And I was already kind of falling apart because during that camp, just with the culmination of everything that happened. And I told him a couple days later, I'm not going to go to Switzerland. I need to go home. Like, I'm done. Like,
this is the fork in the road you're talking about?
This was the fork in the road. And before I said that to him, I called Jenny because she left with the Nextgen team. And I was like, I think I need to go home. Like, I don't think I can do this. And she was like, okay, but just know that if you don't do this, like, it's going to have some repercussions. And I was like, I didn't really realize what that would be at the time, but I was like, I have to go home. So basically that coach, he decided that me going home at that time was me not being resilient. And he decided that it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter how good I got. That was it for me. I wasn't resilient. I wasn't the kind of person he wanted on his team. And that was just that for him. And so, but later he still invited me to come to the Worlds camp. And I didn't know this yet, that he'd made this decision. And I had a meeting with him and I sat down and he said, what are your goals for this camp? And I said, well, I want to go to Worlds. I think I could do it. And he said, I'll tell you right down now, Devaney, there is nothing you could do that would make me send you to Worlds.
But he was going to ask you to go?
No, he said I could come to the camp. He thought it was like this huge favor to me to let me come to this little camp. And then he sat me down. He's like, there's nothing you can do to let me, that would get you on that team. And,
but you can go to the camp, but you're not going to be on the team.
Yeah. But I was just at the camp. I wasn't even, he's like, this is an amazing learning opportunity for you. No, it wasn't. I was just doing lead-ins and stuff. Like I wasn't learning anything.
You were doing what?
Lead-ins. It's just like, instead of like participating in the effort, I was just like helping them set up the effort basically in training. And he thought this is BS. God's gift to me was this. Yeah. So it was kind of after that, I went home from that camp. Oh, actually, I went home from that camp early too because I wasn't actually sick, but I started seeming like I was sick because I was so worn down from the year of training and racing and stuff that I was like, oh, my throat kind of hurts. And then the other riders were like, oh my God, she's sick. She's going to get us all sick. We need to quarantine her. And they sent me to his own house, and then like by myself and like just, I don't need to say like everything that happened, but like a few other things happened. And I was just like, all right, I'm going home. And I went home, and I think I took like 2 months off, and I was like, really like, I don't know if I want to ride anymore. Like I just got like that, my chance at the Olympics is gone. I did all this work. I did everything they asked, and they shut the door in my face. Like, nobody cares about me, like all that kind of stuff. Just kind of like, and then just like the year of trauma as well from all the horrible things that had happened to my teammates, and it all just kind of came down, and I was in a really low place for like a year. But that's kind of when I decided that it was time to like make a change in, like, I was like, okay, either cycling is over for me and I move on in my life, or things really need to change. Like I need to find new meaning in this, and like find a way that I can move forward healthily. Because I knew that the organization wasn't going to change. I knew that the people weren't going to change. I knew that like I would have to, eventually I realized that I would have to change something in me if I wanted to keep continuing. And it would be to kind of like find, like, not let results or times or power numbers be the basis of success, or like goals be what I was like chasing, because those can be taken away so easily. And I don't think a lot of younger athletes especially really like realize that. They're very like goal oriented instead of like process oriented, or like actually, you said you had an interview with Annie before.
Yeah.
So Annie said to me once, she said, some people are motivated by goals and some people are motivated by morals. And that really like struck me. And I was like, oh, that really like explains it, because I was having a hard time getting along with some people because they were just like, I don't care what it takes. All I want is a gold medal. And I'm just like what? Like you would just like, yeah. So that like helped me realize what I wanted out of the sport, and like the way that I needed to proceed going forward was to be motivated not by the number of wins or this like the hardware, but like the journey and the impact you can have on people along the way. Because that's really the only thing that's going to last. Like if we're being honest here, nobody knows what track cycling is. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah, maybe, okay, if you win the Olympics, yeah, they'll definitely write your name down somewhere. 2020, this person won this medal in the Olympics. Book shut, thrown away. No one's ever going to see it again. No one cares. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. What matters is like the experiences you can gain and those lessons you can teach people, and the joy that you can find in pushing yourself to your limits and expanding your horizons and enjoying nature and traveling the world, and like hopefully helping, especially for me, I want to help people, younger athletes, like have a very like positive and healthy mental state as they go through their career. I want them to know that it's always more important to prioritize your health and safety than it is to have results, no matter what your NSO is saying to you. So,
you know what, not to mention that, and your parents, a lot of pressure there from
Yeah,
kids.
I
From
think a lot of people do have that from their parents. I was very lucky to not have that. So I think that's part of the reason why I was able to like develop this like ulterior motivation. But
Mhm.
a lot of people do really struggle with, I know, their parents putting that pressure on them.
But it does sound like you were. It almost sounds like you're taken away from your family and thrust into this environment, and you're just like, I'm not even sure what I'm doing here or what I need to do, because like you said, you're like way back at the beginning, you're just kind of floating around and doing your workouts, and there wasn't any real um structure in
Hmm.
place because you said it was so new. You're just the lucky one that
Yeah.
the first ones through, right? Now they have, uh, well, they've got Jenny there, which is a huge proponent of,
Yeah.
like a massive leader. Um, and then have you been able to, you know, come to terms with that other coach, like that, gave you that feedback? Because, and just knowing that it's, you know, it's not about you, it's about
Yeah.
him. It's about, you know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say fortunately he was let go a little while after that. I think it was technically because the team didn't get the results they were after for that like
oh,
event that they had coming up. Honestly, they didn't like put out maybe they did put out a PSA, I don't know, about like why he was let go. But
right.
being nasty to athletes wasn't one of the things. Um
Were you able to give some feedback into, like once you heard like even before, were you able to like not write him up, but talk to somebody
I
about
think we
his
had like a few,
attitude?
it's kind of hard because
Yeah.
it's hard to like be like, hey, this person's a problem,
Hmm.
to like, because you'd have to like go over their head and like they'd find out about it, and if they're still a coach, well you've just like written yourself an absolute,
Hmm.
like, now you're definitely not gonna progress in the
Yeah.
team. um so I think we have like an opportunity to give feedback, like I think we do like a staff review at the end of the year, like an anonymous one, but it's kind of more just like answer these questions. It's not really
Yeah.
like write us an essay on your
Yeah. Do
experiences.
you have any other comments? Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Where
yeah,
should I
but
start?
I think they realized that he wasn't helping the team grow anymore,
Hmm.
and so that they hired a new coach, and since then our elite team has grown exponentially. So I
Right.
definitely think it was that factor and not the athletes who were
Right.
limiting.
Yeah. So you're now working with the Nextgen program. Is that in Edmonton in conjunction like with Jenny, or how is that working now?
No, I still
Or are you in
the
Milton?
Nextgen program is kind of like on a pause right now just with like COVID, but I actually live in Victoria right now. I moved here for
Oh,
training, um,
nice.
just because Edmonton's not really great for like winter training.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I moved to Victoria, and we regularly have camps in Milton normally. And we actually have a lot more racing that we get to do now. So like normally we'll get 1 or 2 World Cups a year. I think they're called Nations Cups now, and some other international smaller races too.
Right. So do they call on you to come out and take the girls to events, or
No,
what's your
I'm
role in?
still on the team. I still
Oh,
race.
you're still.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that old yet. No, yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was like the complete separation and now you're like
No, it was kind of
came
like a
back and
stepping away in 2019. I don't know if I ever, I think I did say no to a few things to like at that time, like racing and stuff, but it was just kind of like a mental reset. And I took a long time off of racing to just
right.
train and like find, kind of like build myself up to a point again where I could like handle going back to camps and going back to racing with the national team again. Um,
Right.
I definitely feel like it's different now though, but not quite different enough that I'm not racing.
Oh, that's good. So, okay. So you're on the Nextgen team. You're not coaching the
No.
Nextgen team. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's super exciting. So then, all right. Well, you had a year off from COVID. So you're just got to ride your bike a whole lot
Mhm.
and bring
Yeah,
back that
actually,
joy.
this year has been really exciting because it's the first year since 2018 that I've actually really started breaking all my old personal bests in training
Right.
again. And I think it took that really long chunk of time of like not traveling, not going to camps, not racing to actually achieve that, which is kind of funny
Mhm.
because like normally, like, you know, this isn't a normal thing to be doing, but I think a lot of athletes actually have found that this time has been really has really like bumped them up. They're like, oh wait, staying in one place, like getting a routine, like
Mhm.
finding my own motivations, like not having people breathing down my neck about results has been like
Mm.
really great for actually getting better.
I think a lot of girls are feeling like that. I know, like I've talked to some who are just like in complete identity crisis because it's just like it's not that they lost everything. It was just completely like shut down. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, who am I? Like I don't
Yeah.
have.
I have to spend
I'm
all this
not
time
this.
with myself now.
Yeah, I'm not this big racer, and I'm not training for the Olympics, and so who
Yeah.
am I now? Like
Yeah.
and some who just embraced it,
Mhm.
went back to the drawing board. Look, how can I take this opportunity to actually get better? Because
Yeah.
like I've just been thrown into the
Yeah.
into this and just like I
Yeah.
don't know. I've been
Yeah.
spending like a year trying to figure it out. Now
Mhm.
I've got some free time.
Totally. I think a lot of the if you look at athletes who in any sport that have like been doing it at the Olympic level for like
Mhm.
10 years or more, like
Yeah,
I don't think very many, if any of them, base their identity or their like entirety in their sport. Like
yeah,
they all have like other things that they do,
yeah,
like other ways that they like create like meaning and purpose and
mhm,
like motivation in their life. And
yeah,
I think that that isn't really communicated down the beanpole very well, that
yeah.
like it's important. I think it would really benefit people to like develop that earlier on, so like when something does happen, like what happened to me, or the Olympics getting moved, or like you not getting selected to a race or something, that isn't like so heavy. Like you're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, that sucks. I'll take my feedback. I'll learn from it. I'll grow. I'll do better next time," or whatever. But like that's okay, like because like my value isn't based in an Olympic medal. You know,
Yeah.
it's based on like who you are and what you're doing to, I don't know, hopefully make the world a better place or something like that.
Yeah. No, I do completely agree. And I think it's super important because I did come across one girl and I was like, so what are you gonna do? Like I was talking to you before,
Yeah.
like, what's that plan? And she's just like, I'm not sure. I'm like,
Yeah. This is the
While
only
you're training, maybe no, I don't think about while you're training, but
yeah.
start of the all good, like because like the Olympics is over and then it's always like we got worlds and then, oh my God, maybe another Olympic run. Like
Mhm.
it's just,
Yeah.
where do you fit in like real life
Yeah.
in
I think
there
people never, like, think about, I
or
don't think people
hobbies?
wanna think about yeah, like, what happens if, like, the Olympics doesn't work out for them, and I
Yeah.
don't think what, like, athletes or even the general public, like, have seen is that the Olympics is 4 years of
Yeah.
building. There is one little thing could happen in any of that 4 years that will just completely change your ability to just get to the start line. It could be
Yeah.
an injury, it could be like a family thing, like it could be anything at any
Mhm.
time in those 4 years doesn't get you to the start line. And I think a lot of times, and it doesn't always mean because you weren't the best. I
Mm-hmm.
think people watch the Olympics and they're like, these people are the best in the world. Some of them, not all of them. It's not always the best people that get to go. It's the people who made it to the end without
Yeah.
anything happening, who like
Yeah,
had enough
right.
money, who had enough support, who
Yeah.
timed everything perfectly, who didn't get an injury. Like those are the people who get to go, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the best people. And I
Yeah.
think that's important to remember on like an Olympic
That's
journey, that you could be the best and still not go.
Yeah, that's really a good point. It's like who survived the whole thing,
Yeah.
who survived the whole process.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, after this Olympics, there's just 3 years. So people might say, oh, it's only 3 years
Yeah.
until the
Actually,
next
it
one.
feels like so quick. Like someone said that the other day. I was like, what? It's 3 years? Like, oh no.
Yeah,
Already
it's
it's
just one year
happening.
short.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so then, all right. So let's finish this up.
Sure.
All right. So you're in the, do you have a race schedule this year? Or are you just like,
I do. I
oh,
just
is that
haven't got a
exciting to
plan.
you?
It is exciting, but I've been kind of like anxious about it because it's been so long and it's all like
Mhm.
COVID dependent. So like you need to be fully vaccinated and stuff. I'm still waiting on my second dose. So but the plan is that at the end of July to race in T-Town, which is like a series of track races in the US,
Oh,
um, to collect points for Worlds this year, hopefully.
you're getting
And
back on the point train, are you?
yeah, back on the point train. It's stressful. We might go to Colombia. We'll see. It's a
Mhm.
little sketch down there right now, but there's a Nations Cup that's happening in a few months there. And then the next thing after that is Worlds. So
Mm.
hopefully that all works out and it'll be the shortest season ever, but neat and tidy in a few little months, tuck it away and then continuing on.
So what do you have in the background? If we're talking about future stuff, so you're focusing on your racing right now, but
Mhm.
what's your next 3 years look like?
Well, I finally started going to school too. I just do like
Oh
online
God,
school.
excellent.
Yeah, I just do like online school. I have like a
Hmm.
super light course load, but like that's been really nice for like taking up like growing another part of my brain and
Right.
just like finding some interests outside of sport because like it's been a
Mhm.
minute. And
So
just like yeah.
what are you taking? What are you gonna get into?
So I'm in humanities. I'm doing it like a
Oh,
bachelor of arts in humanities with like anthropology as a minor.
oh, very cool.
So that's would kind of be like a first step towards hopefully one day being like a museum curator. Is kind of what I'm going for.
Oh, so
Um,
what made you think about that?
I don't honest like my interest in history. I've always been interested in history,
Okay.
especially like early civilizations,
Mm-hmm.
and always been interested in art, but kind of realized somewhere along the way that I don't really feel like making art. Like I don't feel like I'm just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like looking at it, I like assessing it, but I sit down to create it. I'm like, it's
Forget
empty
it.
in there. Just kidding.
Not that part of art.
So
I like
yeah,
organizing it.
yeah. Those kind of combination of interests was like led me down to like realize like, oh, like curation and like that sort of stuff was like the
Art
perfect comp here.
gallery kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and you also get to work like independently or partly independently and those kind of things. You get to travel sometimes. So it was just like, oh,
Hmm.
those are kind of like everything I wanted to do.
Yeah, I can see you setting up an art gallery in some
Yeah.
LA or
Oh
like maybe
yeah.
somewhere in like Sedona. So,
Ooh,
or
that'd be
maybe you go over to France.
oh,
Just
see
pull
now.
in all these
Yeah.
artists and like display them. And
Oh yeah. This sounds good.
I like it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, this has been amazing. Deveny, I
Yeah.
put an L in there. Um, that we got to talk and you got to talk about, those hardships because I can like my gut was kind of like twisting when you're talking about
Yeah.
that, and because you kind of I could feel it, I felt it, and it's a very alone feeling,
Mhm. Yeah, it was
when
very
you're
isolating too.
going through that stuff by yourself because you really don't feel like you have anybody to talk to, because you don't know who to talk to that
Yeah.
you can kind of trust, and that's not going to turn on you.
Yeah, actually, you reminded me of one more thing that was like really instrumental. But like, I remember I had this one teammate who was just like so excited and so like happy and just like was so, and after I'd already gone through some of the like hard times in like early Nextgen, and I was just like angry. I was just like, why are they so like happy? Like, don't they know
You didn't punch
this
her,
is
did you?
supposed to suck, right? And because that's like the experience that I had, and over time they had more and more experiences that kind of weighed on them and just like brought them down a little bit. And when I saw that happening, I was like, oh, this is horrible. I don't want that to happen to people. Like, I
Right.
want them to be excited and have fun and stuff. And like them having traumatic experiences may like it's not what I want. If I could help stop that happening to people, then
Mhm.
like new athletes and stuff, then I want to do that. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it should be like taking like, just a second. I'm the angry one. What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, it's like, wait, oh, it doesn't feel good when other people have, like,
Yeah.
anyways, that
I
was
thought you were gonna
like,
tell me you slapped her or something.
no,
Stop
no,
being so happy.
yeah, that's how it felt until she stopped being happy or as happy, and then I was like, oh, that sucks.
We sucky together.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no,
yeah,
this is not a good thing.
yeah, no,
We can only have one person feeling down.
yeah,
Like, I need you to bring me up. What's going on?
yeah. What happened?
Yeah. Oh, this is really cool. This is definitely an avenue that has not come out in the interviews with, when I talk to different racers, but like everybody's in a different space.
Mhm.
And that's why I was saying, like, off, like, before we started the podcast, the episode, was that I kind of felt like when I saw your picture,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna reach out to her. I said, she's got a story, because I could feel something in your picture. I'm like, she doesn't look happy. I'm like,
That's
not
funny
that I'm
'cause,
like,
Jenny
she's gonna bring
always
out some
says to me
dirt. No.
yeah, Jenny always says to me, she's like, you don't always say it with your voice, but I always know exactly what you're thinking with your face. And I
Yeah,
was like, yeah, I can't hide it.
I know. Just like, I need to talk to that girl.
Yeah, she has something to say.
And I'm really, really grateful that you said yes.
Yeah,
So with that, good luck with
thank
the
you.
finishing of the season. You got
Thank
6 months to really kill it out there, not literally, but like
yeah. Yeah.
like crush it on the track. So is it just track stuff?
Yeah, I just have track stuff planned. I think road stuff has like been pushed back a little bit further for North
Right.
America. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe come down to do nationals down here.
Oh, maybe.
You can just give me a call. I can, like,
Okay.
help you out.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to our
Thank
listeners
you.
for catching this episode, and Deveny for really sharing a side of racing that we haven't seen yet. And please don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you are, so you don't miss another amazing episode. Because like I said, you never know who I'm going to be bringing out, and you never know what we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
because everybody's got something different. And don't forget to give us a review, and we have our contest going on for reviews. So Deveny, we have to get people to review us.
All right.
Review me, review you, and a good rating. So with that, thank you again. Have an amazing day, and so appreciate for you for being our guest.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hold on.